What is going on, everybody? It is Hunter from Hybrid Fitness, and today I'm with my good friend and Director of Operations at Hybrid Fitness, Dusty Young. And today we are here as promised to start our brand new podcast. And this is an exciting time because we've been talking about this for a little bit, and we are so excited to share some great things over the next weeks, months, maybe years.
Who knows?
That can help you out in your life, whether it be with fitness, whether it be with your mental state, and much more. Dusty, what's the name of the podcast?
The podcast, we decided to name it The Next Step.
The Next Step. Why is it the next step, Dusty?
The next step. Well, because there's always the next step to take, no matter, where you are in your journey, be it, a fitness journey, health journey, whatever you got going on, personal development, whatever it is. There's always a step to take to go forward. So, that's what we're here for, to kind of help guide through personal experiences, to help people get through and to kind of, to not only take the next step, but to, I don't know, how do I want to put this? To kind of excel.
To excel, to move forward. So you know us best from Hybrid Fitness, and we say small steps, big results, right? And you're going to see a lot of fitness-related things in this podcast, but it's not going to exclusively be fitness. It's going to be a more well-rounded approach. As a person who I've followed many times, he says that in order to get the good life, you got to have 4 things: health, wealth, love, and happiness. So we're going to cover topics on all 4 of those assets, or all 4 of those areas. And, the next step, to me at least, it means that, well, Dusty and I, we've both had, our ups and downs in our lives, just like anybody else. And we both came to these points in our lives where it was like a fork in the road, that we had to make a decision, and we weren't sure which decision to make. And so through resources, through mentors, through educational courses, we had to do our best, take the information that was presented to us to make that right decision. And so what we're doing with this podcast is, if you were feeling stuck, or if you were feeling like there are 2 paths to choose from, we're hoping that this podcast can maybe help you make the most informed decision and give you clarity on where you are going to go. And maybe there's a 3rd path that you didn't even know about, and we can help uncover that for you. Now, if you're not at a split in the road right now, that's okay too, because we're going to have a lot of fun. This is going to be not only informational, but entertaining. Ain't that right, Dusty?
That's what we're aiming for. I don't know. Are we a couple of entertaining fellows, or?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But that's what this is going to be all about. So if you are in for what we're putting on the table, then I'd love to, if you're watching the video now or you're listening to the podcast, I'd love to see, you just let us know. What are you looking for? What do you need help with? We're going to use those as topics. We're going to bring on guests who are experts, and we're going to even bring on some of our teammates here at Hybrid Fitness, at Hybrid Systems, which elevate all the different companies under the umbrella. We're going to have a really, really good time. So, Dusty.
Without further ado,
Dusty, what I'd like to hear right now, because I've definitely, been in front of the camera for a while, and some people know my story, and I want to tell my story, but I'd like to hear your story, and there are many stories, but tell me about a fork in the road that you've had and how you overcame that.
Fork in the road. I guess you're looking for something specific to fitness journey or anything.
Any fork in the road. Think about one of your lowest points.
Lowest points.
What were you dealing with? And then how did you decide to move past it? How did you move to the next step?
Man, that's a tough question. You really threw me on the spot here.
Hee hee.
Yeah, right? You tend to do this when we talk.
Mm-hmm.
Fork in the road, man. All right. So, I think recently, this is probably one of the most recent things I've gone through. I had a job that was solely for making money, right? I was just trying to make a living. I had a house, trying to pay the bills, everything, and it was all great. So I guess for some context, I had a job that I worked at. I worked in and managed a kitchen locally for like 10 to 12 years. It was my first job out of high school, and that's what I was doing. And I decided, at one point that it just wasn't for me anymore. So, I was looking for something else. And I came across, more of a, I guess you'd call it a manufacturing job. And, that really wasn't my style, but it was something new. I was excited about it. And the opportunity to make a lot of money was presented to me. So I took it and I ran with it. I thought it was great. I was able to do things that I'd never been able to do before in my life. I was able to afford things. I bought a house at the age of 25. Like, life was great. I loved it. But then I slowly started to realize that that stuff didn't make me happy. Did it make me happy in the short term? Absolutely. With my current relationship at the time, like, having a house, like, you were just like, I felt like I was living the dream. You know what I mean? Like, I had everything I possibly thought I ever wanted. And then things just kind of started to settle. It wasn't exciting anymore. It was more routine. And I decided that, man, I don't really like this job. It's very stressful. It was overnights. I did a lot of 12-hour shifts, night shifts, day shifts, stuff like that. It was really taxing on the body, taxing on the relationship. And then I just decided that being a homeowner was also a lot of work. Everybody told me, when I started looking to buy a home, that it was a lot of work, and of course, stubborn me, I knew everything at the time, and, I just went through it anyway. So, after all this, I'm starting to realize, money's not making me happy because I don't like what I'm doing. I'm miserable. I go to work. I hate it. But now I'm stuck. I have a mortgage over my head. I have, a car payment. I'm living the life I thought I wanted, but it wasn't true. So I had to find out, how to kind of slowly get myself out of that. And I was working part-time here at the gym at that time. So I knew I wanted to be in the health and fitness space, helping people. But I didn't know how to go into it full-time. So basically, I guess that fork in the road is, how do I get out of this job that I hate? I had just gotten out of the kind of a toxic relationship. So it was just me. I had the house over my head. I had everything over my head. And so it was time to make a decision. And you kind of helped me. You kind of helped guide me through that. You gave me the opportunity working at the gym. And that fork in the road was, well, if I want to quit my job, I got to sell my house. Is that worth it? Is that something I want? Do I want to start over? Is it worth it? So yeah, that's the fork in the road for me. One of the most recent ones.
I remember I was in the shower and we were talking on the phone and talking through the situations, right? You were, I believe at that time, in a new relationship, right? You were thinking about selling the house. There's a lot of things you wanted to do. You wanted to get done with your job. You were just stressed because you were so tired all the time. You needed to get rid of the house because if you quit you need to stop your job, but you couldn't because you had the house. So you had to sell the house and then stop your job, which was literally like most of your being at that point, like literally a huge part of who you were.
Yep.
And maybe that's why you weren't happy, because you were working so hard and maybe didn't have enough time to enjoy the money you were making.
Yep.
And maybe it just wasn't, it wasn't fulfilling work.
Mm.
So I remember talking on the phone with you about that. And I think after you and I discussing it, I came to the conclusion that what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? What were you afraid of?
Honestly, like, it sounds weird, but like I felt like, I had built all of this stuff, like I didn't go to college. I didn't do any of that stuff. Nobody in my family has really been successful, so to speak, making a lot of money. So I almost saw that I was like going to let people down. And it was just that, just starting over, like at 30, I don't know, how old am I? I'm 33. So 32 years old, starting over, quitting my job that, I'm making, a lot of money, it's a comfy, cushy job, selling the house, and just kind of like not having anything, like I just felt like I was letting, maybe family down, or just having that image, that I gave up, or, just couldn't handle it. So it was, which is weird because I don't really care about that stuff, but it's weird once you get put into a position like that, the different things that you do feel.
Yeah. Well, you invested so much time and energy into what you thought would make you happy. And then you realize, well, dang, this isn't going to make me happy, but you have so much time invested. And so to restart, to stop that job and make less money, and to then sell this, the house, which took a lot of pride in, right? Like, hey, I'm 25. I got my own house. Like, that is a signature. That's a symbol of success. Wow, you own a house at 25. Mm-hmm. To take away that and be able to say, well, hey, like, what am I missing out on? Because this isn't working for me. Mm. So I think that was a big step that you took.
Yeah,
it's scary.
It was very scary, but like since doing it, we're in July. It's July 1st, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Sold the house in November, and honestly, I literally have not thought about it.
Yeah.
I haven't. Like, I've never been happier. Mm-hmm. With work, living situations have been, different, but they've been great. Like, I've learned new lessons, about myself, about, actually what I enjoy. So it's been great. It was a scary decision. But I found out that I had the support, through different people. It was great.
Right on.
It was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life, but it was one of the hardest. So sometimes you just kind of, you need to leap, and, mm-hmm. and, the net will appear, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Good for you, man.
Thanks.
Yeah. I'm really I'm just happy for you, because I know where you were.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I met you, and Jordan Saya came to Hybrid Fitness, and I sat right beside you, and I couldn't really get a read on you. And getting talking to you after, it was like, oh, okay, like, you're literally down the road and you're interested in fitness. I thought that was cool, but I had no clue. I was like, I don't know if he's the right fit. Now, as we've got to know each other, I know you are, and you're my perfect opposite in so many ways. But I'm proud of you, dude.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, none of this would be even, available to me without the opportunity you've given me. So
yeah, you did it yourself.
No,
You took it.
I know I did it, right? But you pushed me. Like,
yeah, but that's fun.
I've never had that in my life, right?
Yeah.
So like having that person to push me, but not push me in a way to benefit them, so to speak, but because you wanted to see me, happier and succeed in what I wanted to do. So it was like,
I benefit plenty, by the
way. You may, but it was a very selfless push, and you don't get that a lot. So very appreciative, And I'm now kind of, since all of that, I don't necessarily like seek out failure or change like that. But now I'm more aware that, you take these chances and good things come from them. So I'm definitely more apt to be a little sporadic or jump into something that's a little more scary, like a podcast or, doing something like whatever. Like, it's just, if you want to achieve something, you just got to put your foot forward. You need to take that next step.
I like what you did there, Dusty. Well, all right. Well, I'm gonna share my story and where I had a fork in the road, and I have a few. But I think the biggest piece for me was growing up in school. I was pretty insecure with myself, especially like 8th grade. 8th grade was brutal. See, in the 6th grade, I was as tall as I am now. I'm 6'1". I was going through puberty before all of my peers, so I had acne, I had a little back knee, I had these stretch marks on my back because I grew so fast, and I had these big buck teeth. Actually, they weren't buck teeth because they were actually too small, but they had a big space between them. And so that kept me from like wanting to fully smile, right? So I'm walking around, and can you imagine me, Dusty, not like, that's kind of like the joke around the office that I'm like, hey, Hunter's here. Hey, what's going on? Hunter here from Hybrid. That's the joke. And so there was a point where, I didn't smile as much because I was insecure about my teeth. And so what I did was I went to exercise and working out and video games, but exercising and working out to build up my confidence. More, it was an escape for me. It was a place that I could go and I could see success and I could see progress and I felt good about myself. And that carried on into high school. And kids are mean. There's situations where I was mean too. I picked on some kids. I can think of a few things. I'm like, I can't believe I said that. Things that I said to my brother when he was young growing up. I can't believe I said those things, but we're all kids. So kids are mean in general. A lot of kids are really nice too, and so I had this nickname like going to freshman year because I had all this acne and still kind of ahead of the game in puberty, I guess. I had the name called Volcano Face, and I would rub it off every now and then. I'd be like, whatever. I'd try and not acknowledge it. But one day I was at the lunch table. I think it was freshman year, lunch table, and the girl who I had the biggest crush on sits at the table, and some of my friends are there. And it's still my friends to this day, but they're just joking. And they call me Volcano Face. Now, they've told me that my name is Volcano Face multiple times up to this point, but for some reason, maybe it was an off day, and the fact that the girl that I had the biggest crush on was right there, it triggered me. And I remember that night laying in bed, crying myself to sleep, but thinking, I wish I was someone else. I wish I was one of my friends who, to me, appeared like they were just super cool, like everybody liked them, like I wanted that approval. And that's when I made the decision. That no matter what, like I was going to dive into finding whatever possible solution to this that I could. I needed to change how I felt, and I didn't know what I was going to do at the time, but I would search things, how to be more confident, how to how to get girls to like you, like all these things that a 9th grade boy might look. I dove into that, and that was the start of my personal development journey. And that changed my life forever because I found mentors. I found people who had been down the same path that I had been, and they were able to guide me and avoid some of those obstacles that they had been through, or at least get through them quicker. And that led on to diet. That's how I ended up learning about business and about training and about, again, my self-confidence and how to talk to people and communicate with people. And that's just, I feel bad sometimes for people who are going through hard times, because there are so many resources out there, and I hope that this can be a small piece of one of those resources that can help people move from that dark spot in their life and move them to the next point, the next step. That's what this podcast is here for. We're going to bring on amazing people who are experts locally or nationwide, and we're going to have them share their stories.
So before we move on, I didn't know that about you. So
you didn't?
No,
oh, wow.
I didn't know that you had, insecurities about, acne in your teeth. But listening to that story, the one thing that really stood out to me. So what are you, like 14, 15 years old at this time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how the hell do you have the awareness, right, to find different ways to change, or grow more confident, so to speak, rather than try to change the visual aspect for it? Because, like, when you're that young, I feel like the first thing or the easiest thing is, well, how do I just get rid of the acne? How do I fix the teeth? But you focused on, how do I change my mindset? You're 14 years old, 15 years old. Like, adults can't even do this. Like, let's be honest. Your self-awareness at that age is incredible.
Well, I don't know if my self-awareness was that good at the time. I think I did a few YouTube searches. Maybe some things popped up on my feed. I don't know how it worked back then. But I know I came across people that led me down a rabbit hole, and they taught me how to think. And in that journey, I learned how to think. Sophomore year, I got my teeth done, right? That was still important to me. And I think it's still, if I had my teeth today, like if I took these teeth out and had my old teeth, I think it would affect me still. I think how you look and how you present and how you feel about that is very important. People say that, your physical body, it's all aesthetic, but it does affect your mind as well. And so I don't know if I had the awareness, but I think I found it. And I think I was fortunate to find it. And so, look, if you're listening to this, you're probably solution-oriented. You want some help, or you might be looking for a way to move past where you are, or to just push through and get to that next place. And all that you need to do to be able to do that is to be open-minded. Okay, have the ability to take in new ideas, new viewpoints, and new perspectives. And take different actions, because ultimately what drives our actions is our beliefs. And if you can change some of those beliefs and how you think about the world and how you think things can work, that's going to change the actions that you take. And the actions that you take determine your life, your outcome. What is your reality? So, with that, Dusty,
Hunter,
do you have anything else to add?
Honestly, being open-minded, I think it's one of the, if not the most important, one of the most important things. But don't be afraid to ask for help, to reach out. If that's one thing that I took from, a lot of my forks in the road, so to speak, is you don't have to take this stuff on yourself. Reach out, find somebody to help you, or just to kind of vent to. And I think that's, we're here. If you guys are going through something, listening to this, and you don't kind of know where to turn, you don't know what to do, I mean, just reach out. Reach out to somebody. That's it can be an absolute game changer. And you really don't know, what will come of it. So don't be afraid to reach out to somebody, because more than likely, people are willing to help.
People are good. People are awesome. Most people want to help. And I think that's, if there's one thing that I've learned that I think some people might not believe in their belief, is that inherently I believe most people are good and they want to help. And if you believe that people are on your side, and if you ask, they want to help you, that will make things a lot easier. This person's too big, or they won't care. Well, if you believe that, you're never going to ask. And if you don't ask, you have no chance to have the help and the mentorship or the guidance that person might be able to give you. And believe it or not, somebody else helping you helps them. It's fulfilling to them. It gives them an opportunity maybe to pay it forward. Somebody helped them in the past. So don't think it's just a one-way street. All right. We're coming up on our time max here. Our memory card is busting at the seams.
It's smoking.
It's smoking. So we're going to end it here. Thank you all for listening to the first episode. We're excited for this journey to go on this with you. We hope you tune into the next one. And we'll move on to the next step.
The next step. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, guys.